this is not about me, it's about veterans, right? I'm only here to support you. So what I'd like to do is do a couple little things that I do every time. Am I doing something wrong? The boss is coming.
Legs out.
Woo!
Just a minute. Legs down. Good boy.
Yes, ma'am. Let's take a second and remember our fallen brothers and sisters that never made it home. Can we memorialize them and have a moment of silence? Thank you for that. I'm often, last night at a dinner, I talked about the missing man table. We all know what the missing man, POWMIA table. So the second thing I'd like to do is, now can you turn the lights back up a minute? I'd like to see my audience. How many, I'm gonna find out what branches you served in. Okay? How many Army guys and gals do we have in here? Army. I can't hardly see everybody, but Army. Ooh, they're usually the biggest group, right? There you go. How about Navy? Oh, nice. I'll raise my hand too. Air Force. Oh my God, look at this. I'm gonna have to cut my jokes back. Is there any Marines in here? Okay, if I tell any stories or jokes, I'll tell them slow and twice. No greater love. No greater love than combat buddies. Marine and their corpsman. Coast Guard, we have any Coast Guard? Hey! You're in the dark now. How about Space Force? Aha! Well, you know, we have three branches that just celebrated their 250th birthday. I'd like to remember them. And Don was there. It's all about having fun, and you're going to get what the hell you paid for today. You paid me nothing. I'm a good storyteller, especially if I've had a few drinks. I have fun. I know most of you. I've loved all of you. I started out as a dental student who ran out of tuition money, and my personal dentist was an Army reservist, and he says, "Wow, go to, you know, the dental school that you're going to has a program that the military will pay your tuition." Okay, so I went to all the liars, the recruiters. Is there any recruiters in here today? That's okay, I wouldn't raise my hand either. I can't say they lied to me really bad because I was wanting in bad, so I didn't listen as close as I should have. So I joined the Navy to be a dental student, to become, you know, the Navy promised me I could finish my degree and finish my licensing and become a dentist. So I said, okay, yeah, that sounds good. No tuition. Nope, I had to pay back 2 years for every 1 year of schooling. That sounded easy enough. But when I got out of, first of all, they sent me to enlisted boot camp, right? No big deal, except I didn't know the difference between, I thought I was going to go in as an officer, you know. Nope. So, and they get to the, after graduation, they have the time when you identify what job you're going to take. They call it MOS. And they say, well, we don't need no stinking dentist. We need a corpsman. I said, what the hell's a corpsman? I went to my first school thinking I was going to be an undertaker. And if you recall, one of our presidents here of late called us all corpsmen as well. But I should have listened to the guy, because today I am a corpsman. I own 2 funeral homes and 2 cemeteries. And I'm all the time trying to help. And when I shook your hand earlier today, I was feeling for a pulse. Some of you I got questions about. But, so the story goes that I ended up serving in the Navy. I worked orthopedic and neurosurgery. And then the war escalated. Now, I went in 1965. Can anybody beat that? I mean, come on, you guys, you're older. 65, there was no war that I knew of. We were in Vietnam as advisors, but we really wasn't committed. So 66 came along, 67, it started growing. Now we need corpsmen because the Marines can't put a Band-Aid on. And you know why the Marines call us Doc? Because they can't spell corpsman. Arua. So I went to Vietnam, and I tell everybody I fought like hell, but I had to go anyway. You missed it. Went right over your head. The job was a thankless job. It was the worst job. I mean, I risked my life every day trying to save the Marines. My only job was to get them home to their loved ones in as best condition as I could. And I wanted to keep the fighting force as far forward as possible. If you can still fire a gun, we're going to keep you in the unit, you know? Because we had no real rear perimeters. Now, I know the Army had theirs, Air Force, because we'd go down there and steal their shit. But the Marines, we lived out what we could carry. Everything we had, we carried there. No helicopter, no ambulances. We had to learn, change up from scoop and run, which was right here on the streets of Dallas, to stabilization before transportation. That meant the golden hour was designed. Everything that we did in the EMS system was because of Vietnam. You did not have paramedics or EMTs here in this town or anywhere in the country before Vietnam. We brought that home. I was the 3rd license in my state when I got out. Just so you know it, I try to hang something good on everything that's bad. And Vietnam taught us how to handle trauma and how to better serve our patients. A helicopter was life flight, you know, we were familiar with that. Airway management, controlled hemorrhage, everything that we did as paramedics on the street, and I retired as a paramedic in Kansas City on an ambulance, was just fall back to what we did in Vietnam. Now, I know you're going to ask me what I did to earn this medal, and I tell everybody I got it at Walmart. You know, I have a hell of an ego problem. Anyway, so I'm going to take you through some activities because they're going to pull me off of the stage here with a hook pretty quick. So if you read my citation, remember it's a government document. That tells you right there it's not correct. Besides, it was Marines that were writing me up. Come on. There would have been a hell of a lot more awardees if they hadn't broken their Crayolas. We love you like hell. I mean, there is that love. So my citation, we lived in the field. There was no rear area, Northern I Corps. How many of you, show me hands, that were combatants in Vietnam? Hurrah. Thank you for your service. And I can't lie to you. The rest of you, I don't care, see? The real answer was I think we all went over to fight for this country, right? We were told, we were voluntold, but we also had that mindset that we were going to do something great for the country. Once we got our ass in, excuse my French, once we got in country, it was all about survival skills, taking care of the guy on the right and the left. We didn't care about Democrats, Republicans, Ho Chi Minh. We didn't care. I mean, all we wanted to do was get through the incident and get home, We had no control. We never fired the first shot. We were always shot at first, and then we responded to it. What kind of war is that, But, we never, unlike some of the other branches, we never went into the villages and killed anybody. We did go in and burn the villages down, but we made sure all the people were out before we torched their houses, their huts. Destroy the enemy. Okay, well, that, moving from point A to point Z, and you got all these checkpoints in between, and we had moved out and was in a movement, and I identified that I had 3 heat casualties because they're newbies. New guys come in, they're unacclimated to the weather and the humidity and the moist, everything that the country offers. And so we had to medevac them out because they were a liability. So I set up a hot LZ, and I had 6 Marines with me and the 3 patients. And so we medevaced out the 3 Marine patients. And then now we're standing out there, 7 of us, with no support. As soon as the helicopter came in, so did all the activities, all the mortars, all the attention. So we hid as best we could and laid low. And then by that time, our unit had already moved out. Hello? You can't, no 911. We didn't know where in the hell they were, Anyway, so luckily I had a radio guy with me, and he was able to figure it out. Now, they didn't teach a corpsman how to read a map. There was no need for me to know anything. I just saddled up when they called me. My job was to save lives, not to fight the battle. Matter of fact, when I first got in the country, they issued me a .45 pistol, 1911, with no magazine and no bullets. Army. No, this was the Marines. So I said, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Hit him on the head? And the armor said, Doc, if you want a weapon, 5 minutes after the first battle, first firefight, you'll have your choice. And he was right. Now, I killed 6 men as a corpsman. Hey, my job was save lives. But I did have to kill 6 Vietnamese soldiers after I got wounded 8 times. Thank you very much, Marines, for taking care of me. But we had the team, I was supposed to, most of the corpsmen that got killed in Vietnam doing their job was going up to take care of a wounded Marine. Well, the enemy knew where that Marine was because here's another target, another duck coming up, So that's how most corpsmen were headshots. Most of them died head and upper chest. I learned, I was older than most of the kids there, 18, 19. I was 21, 22. So I was the old man, grandpa. So I learned a little bit about how to protect myself, and I made it through. Even though I got wounded 8 times, I walk funny, I talk funny. I haven't been right since the war, but I made it. I survived, and that's why I'm so grateful to help veterans today that don't understand. There's veterans and then there's combat veterans. We can admit to that, right? Nobody understands a person in combat more than a veteran that's been there. You know, if you wore the combat boots, you got shot at, my God, you understood it. So, most of my dealing with the VA today is because their doctors have never even seen a gun, let alone been shot at. So, here they're trying to help us, right? They don't have a clue. And my problem is I tell them. Who do I have to impress? Look, I got the key to the bathroom. I don't have to give a damn about anything. And I asked him the first time, I went, well, shave my head and send me back to Vietnam then, let's go with me. So let's go back to the day that you have a question about. We were moving out. We medevac the patients. Now I'm trying to find my unit, trying to regain, where I initially started. The unit that I was with was a company reinforced size element, and they got attacked. They got ambushed. And so typically the Vietnamese must have watched our cowboy movies, because they would let half of us go through, and then they would cut us off and fire both directions. The intent then was the Marines would turn around, and now we got M16s against M16s. They had AK-47s, distinct difference in sound. So when you stop hearing the AK-47s, all of a sudden you're shooting against yourself, guys. Hey, wake the hell up. So that's what they did to us. Most of the time we encountered that kind of ambushes. We turned out to be shooting friendly fire. Tell me what friendly fire is. But we shot our own people. Luckily the Marines couldn't hit anything, so most of us survived. I'm picking on you because the rest of the people love it. We love you. If I had to go back in combat today, I wouldn't. I'd go with the Marines. I love the Marines. No greater love than the Marines and the Corpsman. So we finally, as the unit would slow down, we would pass them. They would take a break, then our 7 guys, we would pass through the lines to get up to our own element. And so, they got ambushed. We had a lot of casualties. The people that wrote me up for this medal didn't even know me. I wasn't in the unit. I met 5 of the guys that wrote me up, and I never knew one of them. They didn't even know my name. I have a Navy tattoo, and they knew Doc with the Navy tattoo on his left arm. That's all they knew. Doc, that was my full name. So it took them a while to figure out who Doc was, and what units I was with and that kind of deal. That's my job, was to go out, treat the Marines there, and or drag them to the area of safety and treat them and prepare them for medevac. The trouble with medevac in the monsoons time is birds don't fly a lot of times. And that helicopter doesn't fly. Now the corpsman's got a different job, and that's the stabilization, keeping you alive for a longer period of time. And we loved the helicopters. I'm telling you, there was no greater cavalry than hearing that whoppity-whoppity-whop coming in to pick us up, move us, or pick up our patients. We loved the helicopter. Kids, they were just kids. You get up there and they look like they're 12. Who the hell's flying this thing? But we wanted out of the country so bad we didn't care who was flying. Get me out of here. So, no greater love. I had collected 6 patients, and then I had like 4 other bodies, but we had 6 still alive patients being waited to be there for medevac. And we were close enough. I had picked a bomb crater because it was out of sight, out of the normal flow of the mountain there. And so I thought we were safe. And I was preparing to, move them out one at a time. I had a total of 6 Marines issued to me. They were litter bearers, and they would do anything I needed. And you just love the Marines, because they take care of their docs. So we prepared to move out. I had 4 guys grab the poncho. We started to move out, and a Vietnamese soldier from someplace threw in a hand grenade and started shooting at us. And now the citation will tell you a different story. Maybe I ought to tell the citation first. The citation, so the grenade came in. I hollered grenade, saw it, and I jumped on it. Now, why in the hell would I jump on a grenade for a Marine? It's love. This thing represents love. I'd been there, almost I was there 10 months and 14 days, but who's counting? And I just, it was part of my job. I was trained to save their lives, no matter what it took. No one taught me to jump on a damn grenade. There's no jump on the grenade 101. No. I was not a Marine. They would have stuck it in their pocket for a souvenir. I was a little smarter. So, and I love you guys. I'm picking on you because the rest of them like it. The rest of the guys here and gals love it. So after jumping on it, I hollered grenade and I jumped on it. I was blessed. The good Lord said, "Boy, you're not too smart. You better get rid of that thing." And 3 years later, that's what somebody asked me. Well, how long did you lay on it? I said, must have been 3 years. Anyway, I quickly figured out that this wasn't the right thing to do. I rolled over, still had it in my hand under my chest, and I flung it out of the bomb crater, and it went off in midair. I shit my pants, and then went on to treat the rest of the guys. Now, if you read my citation, it said, he jumped on it. It failed to go off, so then he calmly arose and continued to treat the Marines. What Marine would leave it lay there for, when's it going to go off? Come on, wake the hell up. Obviously I didn't write the citation, don't worry about it. Obviously I didn't write my own citation. They never even asked me and I didn't learn until, like 4 years later, I went back to the Marine Corps reunion, and our battalion commander, who was full bird colonel, wanted to meet me, and he had signed off for approval, and they had to call the S1 down there, the major, to take statements, and the major said, I talked to him, the major says, I don't want to hear what you think happened, only tell me what actually you saw. So when you holler grenade, what did they see after that? They saw the dirt with their eyes closed. They didn't see nothing. So that's how I was able to throw it away and not anybody see it. So, and it was enough activity there that they didn't know if it was that same grenade or other grenades. We had a lot of activity. So that's how, it was false. I need to take you back one more step, but the other thing the citation doesn't say is that I had gone out and got somebody and was bringing them into the bomb crater. Something hit me in the helmet. I thought somebody had kicked me. And I looked down, and here's a grenade by my leg. And again, I picked it up. This was the first grenade. I picked it up and flung it out. So that gave me false bravery that I thought I could do something stupidly. That was what I thought. So I've had 55 years of this trying to analyze what the hell was wrong with me. Did I really want to commit suicide? No, I never planned on it. I really thought I was smarter than that, but I wasn't. I simply did it because out of love. I've had this 55 years. I've met over 400 Medal of Honor recipients. As we said, there's only 61 of us alive today. But every one of us has got a story that's always unique. And you listen to it and you think, well, damn, what'd you do that for? You know, or couldn't you have done it better, a little safer? Even Mad Dog Maddox up there said, why didn't you throw a Marine on that thing? He says, Doc, you're too important, you know. I said, well, I looked around, true story, I looked around for a hole and my C ration can had already filled them all. So there was no place to run. I had no choice except to take action. I knew we were all going to die. Hell, you throw a grenade right here, the majority of you are going to die. So my action was more about saving myself, saving the other guys, and willing to give up my life and sacrifice for them because I loved them. So much so, I came back. I told you in the beginning, I'm a corpsman today. I own 2 funeral homes. We provide, and I'm in 14 states, and we're going to talk to some other people here about expanding it. We do as close to free funerals as we can. Now, Dignity was talking about burial benefits. I want you to know there's a difference between burial benefits and funeral benefits. Most all of you in here qualify for burial benefits. There's not one of you in here, including myself, qualifies for funeral benefits. How do you get from the deathbed to the cemetery? You got to go through a funeral home. That's why I went back to age 60, back to college to get my license. I'm a practitioner today to help. I take nothing, no salary. I've been doing it almost 20 years and never made a dime. I support nonprofits that help us pay for the funerals. So that book that fell is called The Medal of Honor. We bring that for an opportunity for you to have something after, you know, if you've never met a recipient, here's a good time to get my autograph, you know. Not that I'm worth anything, but the book is worth a lot. And so is my, you can talk about my signature someday, you know. So I'm gonna ask you to help us raise money. We all have a little extra money. We can probably buy a gift, use it, read it, and then give it away as a Christmas present. That's why I give gifts. I use it first and then give it up. Hey, don't laugh, it works. So I'm going to ask you today, we have belt buckles. I got I'm the guy with the everything in my pocket. I've got belt buckles, coins. If you got $1, I'll figure out how to get it. That's the funeral director in me. Yeah, anyway. So, is there any question? Any questions? I'd like to listen. I'm here for you, please. If you've got a question, I'm just a joker. I'm just a happy guy. And some people, I want to educate you on something else. I am not a Medal of Honor winner. I did not enter a contest. I am a Medal of Honor recipient. A general introduced me here about a month ago as a Medal of Honor winner. And so I said, of course, he made a mistake. He gave me the mic. So I said, well, General, how did you win your star? What do you mean? I said, you must have entered a contest like I did. He said, oh. Nobody talks to a general like that. Now, I went to the dark side. I was an E5. How many of you made E5? I made it twice. Yeah, I had a great run. And you made E5? Oh, wonderful. So then I ended up going to OCS and becoming the dark side. I was a Mustanger in the Army. And you know, we have Navy. I could have stayed in the Navy, but I didn't trust them anymore. They sent my ass to the Marines. So, what do you want to hear from me? I am here for you. And at the end of the day, I want you to support the nonprofits. This nonprofit, every nonprofit has to make a profit. You know, they got to pay for the food. They got to rent the hall someplace. They got to take care of their mission, whatever it is. So help nonprofits. Instead of buying that beer or that Starbucks coffee, help a veteran, you know. I'm going to ask you to buy my book. I suck at asking for donations. So I give books and other things as a payment, you know, and something back for your money, right? So please help us.
So we have time for a couple of questions, only a couple. Who's got a question for Don?
Let's make them good questions. I know, leave the Marine, leave them, leave. Oh. Hi.
I want to know, I know this is almost a burden to have received this. It's a huge responsibility. All of you guys talk about that. How many days out of the year do you travel as part of the responsibility to be a recipient?
I've done 100 this year. It varies. I do not travel for myself. I travel to raise money for my nonprofit. We pay for the funerals. The money I raise pays for the funerals of the veterans that are sitting out here right now that don't have family, that we find under the bridge. We find them homeless. I lied 2 years ago. I am a colonel. I'm a full bird colonel and Medal of Honor recipient. And when the state asks me a question, they listen to me and they believe what my lies are because I'm getting even. I had a first sergeant that had a bad BCD, bad conduct discharge, right? Because his wife left him and he got on drugs. So he's not entitled to any benefits, not even a flag. So I lied. I said, I remembered him I never knew him, but I gave him credit for being a first sergeant for the whole time he made good, and he screwed up at the last minute and lost his benefits. I overlooked that. So don't be telling my state anything.
All right, now here's another question.
Yes.
Y'all have like a Medal of Honor get together, and y'all try to outdo each other with stories and whatnot. What really goes on when y'all do get together?
Yes, we have annual conventions. We just left Chattanooga a month ago. So yeah, we go to different cities every year to a different city. You could have one down here if you wanted to help fund it by supporting it. I mean, pay, just like this organization, you got to buy the dinner tickets. You know, you got to pay for our cost. So we get together, we don't bullshit, because we don't even talk war stories because we can't outdo each other. There's always a guy telling a better story. I get better stories than the VFW.
All right, Doc, one last question
From Don.
Corporal Donald Gray.
Hey, Don.
World 2, Evo Team.
He was there when Custer came through.
I guess a lot of me
recipient that shares it with people. He shares it. He lets you hold it. The women gather around him and he shows it to them and he tells them a few stories. I think that's great, don't you?
Hey!
Keep an eye on him.
We always keep an eye on him, so, come up here, Karen.
I keep my hands where everybody can see them.
John didn't really have a question, but he did make a great statement. I'm gonna, have Karen, one of our longtime volunteers, come up. You have a question, Karen?
Yeah, I'll say it back here.
Yeah, let everybody hear the question.
My question is, I build trauma programs for male combat veterans. And one of the battles is they have such a guilt because they came back. And what I say is we have a greater responsibility, not a lesser responsibility. So if you could add to that narrative, that would be great.
Okay, that's a wonderful, long time story. It'll take forever to answer. But when you boil it down to, each of us have different tolerance levels, all of us. Each of us deal with our life, deals with our challenges, deals with our day-to-day activities. We deal with dealing with other veterans. You have a bond here. Is this a nationwide program? Well, I'm going to try to get one started in Kansas City. I love what you're doing because you need it. And as I said, I prefaced it earlier, nobody knows what the hell we've been through. Nobody. Nobody appreciates it. Really, they don't appreciate it. They say they do. They give us lip service. And is there any politicians in there? You're the only politician? Are you at what level?
I'm called the county judge.
Oh, I'm talking.
In Texas, that's like he runs the whole county.
Oh, well, I don't live here, so hell with him. You know when politicians are lying, their lips are moving. But we depend on our leaders. We depend on people that will do stuff for us. I've been talking to you all day and not knowing that you're a damn politician. We cannot do this alone, guys. We're veterans. We didn't go out in combat. We didn't go through boot camp. None of this was an I thing. It was a team thing. So to answer that question, we need to encourage the veterans to communicate, gather like you are, because we're the only ones that understand you. Come, men or women, we understand more. Civilians don't give a damn. They're at Walmart shopping. So if we don't bond together and take care of each other, who in the hell will help us? So again, all of us have different tolerance levels, issues. I represent the VA as much as I can. Not all VAs are good. Not all people that work for the VA care about veterans. You have to seek out the people that do care. You have to take care of yourself. Don't wait and let somebody else do it for you. Do it for yourself. And then help other people. We don't want a handout. We want a hand up.
That's pretty well said, and I think that we should show this book. Man, this thing is heavy. Holy cow, I'm gonna let you hold that.
It's lighter than this metal, though. If any of you want to wear it, I'll let you wear it for a while. Comes with a lot of responsibility. This is a great coffee book. I'll just open to any page. This is about one recipient, tells his story. My page reflects a Navy corpsman reflecting back on what I did in Vietnam how I saved the lives of the Marines. And we got to pick our own story on this page. The other page is our citation, and it goes into a little bit more depth, behind the scenes. So this book is for sale. I'll autograph it for you. It's not for sale. It is a donation. So you can get a tax write-off. And you make the checks or whatever out to the nonprofit. We have a table over in the back there. I want to shake your hands, take your money. And
While taking your money.
if I made you laugh today, you owe me. You owe me. I entertained you for nothing. Come and buy a damn buckle. Come on, you cowboys and cowgirls. There's some beautiful cowgirls down there. I'm thinking about moving down here myself. So we got books. I have my challenge coin. Who in this room's got my challenge coin? Yes. So the rest of you are doing without unless you come over and help make a donation to my nonprofit. I travel those 100 days a year to raise money to bury the veterans that don't qualify for benefits. So help me.
All right, guys, give it up for Doc.
Thank you, Kitty.
And I'm gonna give you our challenge.
Oh, great. Thank you, Judge.